The year was 1962. US scientist Dr. Bruce Banner was testing the world's very first gamma bomb. He rushes to rescue a teenage boy who was in an unauthorized area, but Banner's assistant turned out to be a Soviet spy planning to make America lose its greatest nuclear physicist. So he allows the countdown to proceed as normal, but unbeknownst to him, this reckless plan instead opened up the door for Banner to turn into something truly incredible: Hulk.
The year was 1954. The Second World War had just ended and the world had now entered the nuclear age. After the events of the Little Boy and Fat Man, the US decided to continue testing the devastating effects of the atomic bomb. Unbeknownst to them, their reckless experiments had awoken something. They called him Godzilla. And thus began a multimedia franchise spanning 70 years of a giant atomic dinosaur laying waste to the land of the rising sun. And I'm going to be looking at all of it. Everything from the movies, to the games, to the comics, to even the untranslated novels. God help me. Jokes aside, Godzilla is one of my favorite franchises, and I'm so excited to geek out about the Big G himself, so I'm ready.
I am Marco Krypton, and today I'll be joined by fellow Dead Belly YouTuber Capsirus for this Godzilla prediction video. And I too will be covering Marvel's Jolly Green Giant across all mediums. Not gonna lie, I have a soft spot for both of these radioactive fellas, so I'll be happy regardless of who wins. But I am also leaning more towards rooting for the one I'm representing today. He won't enter the World Tree Club, rah! Remember to all smash that subscribe button and try to not turn the comment section into a nuclear wasteland. That's what these two are for.
So what better way to start this rundown than by fully geeking out about his anatomy? Truly, I have peaked in my nerddom. Now, Godzilla has had a wide variety of different ages over different forms of media, but the oldest he's ever been is around 250 million years old. Fun fact, did you know that crocodiles and alligators don't have a cap on their lifespan? The reason they tend to live as long as 50 years in the wild is actually due to external factors like disease. Remove those factors from the equation and they're basically immortal. So yeah, Godzilla's incredibly long lifespan is actually scientifically accurate. And he wasn't asleep for all of this. He fought in multiple wars against other titans. Heck, outside of the Monsterverse, other iterations of Goji canonically have lived for hundreds of thousands to millions of years. And they've all fought some weird entities. Sometimes all at once if we look at Godzilla Final Wars.
Okay, so yeah, Godzilla is vastly older no matter which version you pick for either radioactive rumble lover, with probably millions of years spent kicking asses that weigh a million tons each. However, Hulk has been battling the likes of Leader, Abomination, Dormammu and Galactus. Big or small matters not, Hulk's gallery is a very diverse lot. In contrast, Godzilla simply never really fought against anyone that comparatively small with such a disproportionate amount of strength, whereas Hulk fought plenty of giant monsters, including Godzilla himself. Huh, would you look at that? Anyway, couple all that with his surprising martial arts mastery and more varied Hulk's gallery, and I personally think Hulk should take skills while Godzilla takes experience. What do you think, Cap?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I know Hulk is a smashing machine and all, but I think we all forget that he did spend time as the Green Scar for a while, who was a gladiator. So he's definitely more skilled than most people will buy. But Godzilla has been kicking butt for millions of years, so experience definitely goes to him.
You don't get the, quote, strongest there is title without breaking a few eggs. And by eggs, I mean, you know, tanks, castles, mountains as heavy as 150 billion tons, island or even tectonic plates. It's the mother of all homeless, Jack. Every step is an earthquake moving when Hulk is wandering about. And don't think Earth is where it stops either, because it can shatter a meteor twice the size of the blue dot we call our home, which would put Hulk around the planetary ranges over 169 zetatons of TNT. Hulk crossed over all limits when he broke through Green Lantern constructs, the same stuff able to hold back the universe kickstarting Big Bang. Is comparable to Hyperion, who withstood two universes colliding, and that is the furthest we're gonna get for quantifiable strength stats, because from here on now, Hold on to your butts. Hulk's punches shook an infinite amount of dimensions, powered through a telekinetic repulsion of all reality, and managed to affect a time storm, something even the time-traveling Kang and his machines failed to do. He should scale to his son Scar, who punched through a wormhole, and Red She-Hulk, who punched her way out of dimensions outright. He regularly traded blows with the mighty Thor, who knocked out the multiverse-level threats Phoenix, Surtur, and Chaos King, defeated the omnipotent Mr. Power of a Million Suns himself, Sentry, took down Dormammu, who threatens the multiverse and exists beyond time and space, and even broke the first firmament chains, the same ones capable of chaining the conceptual cosmic entity Eternity, placing Hulk in the outerversal ranges of strength. Quite the jump from his earlier self, but don't worry, he can defeat his future self as well, the Maestro, who in turn was able to kill freaking Galactus. Yeah, Mr. Omniverse level threat himself. And it turns out Gamma in this universe is not just radiation like in our good old boring normal world, but Satan magic, specifically emanation from the one below all, which is basically the same thing. This is a being infinite layers deep into Outerversal, and the Hulk personality that's specifically all about the Satan stuff, the fittingly named Devil Hulk, should scale to all that jazz. To go into more detail, Hulk forced the one below all to retreat into his dimension, with the latter also being the dark side of the cosmic entity called the one above all. You know, the so big creator of the Marvel Omniverse, and the one who confirmed that Hulk was created to be a counterweight to him in reality. In conclusion, yeah, strong boy.
Like most giant reptiles, Godzilla uses his incredibly powerful teeth, tail, and claws to devastating effect. He can demolish buildings with a single tail swing and throw other giant monsters around as if they were featherweights, but that's not all he's got. Of course, we can't talk about Godzilla without bringing up his epic gravity-defying dropkicks. Kyle Crane would be proud of a dropkick like that. Oh, and his atomic breath, that's pretty cool too. Goji's atomic breath is his signature ability, and he uses it in a variety of ways. Not only can he use it to fly, which just looks hilarious, but in the Monsterverse, he's even used it to tunnel through the ground into the Hollow Earth, a feat worth about 526 gigatons of TNT. But that's not all. Godzilla has even survived being inside a black hole before, surviving the output of about 45.6 foe, or about solar system level. But that's not his max. In the Monsterverse, Goji is capable of passing through Hollow Earth portals, which director Adam Wingard describes as black holes. These portals are also described as eruptions of gamma-ray bursts, which are found in supermassive black holes. Now, gamma-ray bursts can output energy anywhere from 1 foe to 12 kilofoe. Why do I bring this up? Well, other titans in the Monsterverse like Kong, Shimo, Scar King, and more notably the Ion Dragon, you'll see why soon, are also capable of passing through these portals with ease. And Godzilla can completely tear the Ion Dragon to shreds, meaning his power should be above the energy output of the Hollow Earth portals, which means that at max, Godzilla can output about 12 kilofoe every time he throws a slap out to the nearest giant monkey.
So, Kappa, I know what you're gonna bring up later, and how much is gonna make stat debates completely irrelevant, but for now, I'd say Hulk should at least take overall physical strength. What do you say?
Oh, absolutely. Like, Godzilla does have higher arguments with stuff like Heisei Godzilla and Godzilla in Hell, which should get him to 5D and arguably outerversal if you take the IDW multiverse statements literally. But even if you do, Hulk is still several layers above Godzilla. Goji just doesn't have the physical strength necessary to beat Hulk. But as you'll soon see, it doesn't really matter. Alright, let's talk speed. Showa Godzilla can scale to Zone Fighter, who could scale to King Ghidorah's flight speed, putting Goji at around 231 times faster than light. Not only that, but in Godzilla in Hell, he's capable of traversing through different layers of Hell, many of which you could argue to be infinite, as layers like the Abyss and the Deluge are stated to hold countless souls and are also stated to be eternal and a never-ending ocean. This would put Godzilla's speed at infinite on a conservative estimate. Fates-wise, he reacted to Mecha King Ghidorah, who could travel through time via speed alone, and he could also outpace Space Godzilla, both of whom possess immeasurable speed. Godzilla in Hell walked through infinite-sized realms that exist outside of linear time, and Godzilla Ultima possesses irrelevant speed via CTC, nonlinear existence, and supercomputation. More on Ultima in a second.
The Jade Giant is no speedster per se, but you can betcha his speeds will surprise you. from catching a rocket mid-flight with his hands, a bullet with his teeth, and evading special forces like it is an average Tuesday. On the topic of being out of Earthling's grasp, he once jumped out of the planet's orbit in less than 0.1 seconds, which is at least Mach 3000. His reflexes are constantly compared to lightning itself, and he managed to squash a possessed Quicksilver, who should move faster than radio waves, aka light. For the creme de la creme of his speed, he consistently kept up with the likes of Thor and Silver Surfer, the former being able to travel from Earth to Asgard in moments, anywhere between 1.5 to 15 quintillion times the speed of light, and the latter traveling 500,000 light years in a short time, 3.15 trillion times the speed of light to be exact. To the surprise of absolutely no one, both heralds have perfectly sound arguments for immeasurable to infinite speed, such as knowing Red time traveling to sheer speeds alone, Thor covering infinite distances in a finite time, or Mjolnir itself actually surpassing surface board in speed. And we then have Hulk keeping up with both speedy objects. By boxing and keeping up with the likes of Gladiator, Sentry, Silver Surfer and Thor, which are all heralds, well, one of them more than the others, Hulk's speeds should comfortably range anywhere between infinite to immeasurable, as they can pretty much all traverse the infinite spaces in a short amount of time, like when Thor kept up with someone empowered by the space-time ignoring World 3. I think it's pretty safe to give both combatants immeasurable to infinite speed, making this category a draw. What do you think, my stickman fellow?
Yeah, speed here is pretty much irrelevant since they're arguably equal with each other.
Belt.
Despite being a giant dinosaur, Godzilla actually isn't dumb. He just primarily relies on his instincts. I mean, bro has 2 brains, he's gotta be a little bit smart at least. Not only is he capable of actual speech, which is weird, but he's actually a pretty good problem solver as well. He's killed Hedorah by powering up giant electrodes with his atomic breath, killed Orga with a nuclear pulse after noticing that Orga kept regenerating at a fast pace, and he's even capable of applying strategic thinking in fights, like when he managed to catch King Ghidorah off guard and fight him on ground, suiting him in Godzilla King of Monsters. He's also shown that he is capable of showing emotion, like when he laughed at Kong's misfortune in Godzilla vs. Kong. So he does have cognitive thought.
Hulk isn't dumb either. Okay, well, not all of his personalities are. So let's go over a brief summary. Savage Hulk / Childlike Hulk is probably the one most of you are familiar with, you know, always angry and shouting like a child, fitting since he represents Bruce's inner rage sparked by the childhood trauma kindly gifted by his father. Then we have Grey Hulk, aka Joe Fixit, a street-smart casino enforcer who's pro trans rights. Very based. The brains and brawn combo that is Professor Hulk, combining Bruce, Savage and Fixit. The Green Scar aka Worldbreaker aka what happens when Banner fully surrenders control and Hulk adopts his full potential. The downright diabolical Devil Hulk, arguably the smartest and most cunning of the bunch, but also the embodiment of the aggressively protective father figure Bruce always wished he had. And finally, the Breaker of Worlds aka the One Below All. There's also the One Below All possessing Hulk like a proper demon. Since Hulk's various personality can now canonically work together, I'll also take Bruce Banner into account. Bruce is one of the smartest minds in the Marvel universe, an extremely intelligent, theoretical physicist. His intellectual feats include stuff like creating a force field that can tank hits from other Hulks and Juggernaut, outsmart Victor Von Doom himself, formulate calculations on which structures Hulk can destroy without killing anyone, reached in 2 hours an answer that should have taken him weeks, and invented a T-gun capable of distorting light in a way that forcefully time travels someone into the future. Again, Cap, I know we're about to get into the Godzilla side of things that will make all of this completely irrelevant, but hear me out. Stan Godzilla is normally not stupid, he carries a pretty neat battle IQ, but he is normally more akin to an animal, whereas Bruce Banner is always top smartest minds in the Marvel universe. So how would you wanna measure this before hell breaks loose?
Even if we take all of Hulk's smarty pants mind out of his head, he would still be smarter. Now, Godzilla isn't dumb, but he mostly relies on instinct, which Hulk doesn't really need to win a fight. So intelligence goes to Hulk.
Okay, so this is a little side project I made, having done a lot of research for this matchup. It turns out that both of these characters are resistant to a lot of the same things, like soul manipulation. Hawk resisted Hellfire magic from Ghost Rider, and Goji endured spiritual level beings from Matra and Batra. Life absorption. Hawk fought against the Living Flame, which absorbs life, similar to Godzilla, resisting life force being drained by Batra. Again, biological manipulation. Hawk resisted an attack that reversed evolution, brain disruption, or straight up paralysis, while Godzilla reversed the effect of evolution, endured master cannons that affect cellular functions, and paralyzing bites. Matter manipulation. Hawk tanked a vortex from the Sonic Assault Rifle, which rearranges matter to the subatomic level, while Godzilla endured absolute zero gravity beams and his own atomic breath. All attacks that reach the subatomic levels thanks to either temperature, gravity, or radiation. And finally, space-time manipulation. Both reversed through space-time, distorting dimensions outright. Hawk now held the effects of a time storm, while Godzilla warped into a dimension where time took a solid form, plus a sandstorm where time moves in reverse. Huh, wouldn't you know? Now onto the crazy shit. Back to you, Cap.
At the end of the day, this whole me talking about Godzilla, pointless. None of it matters. None of it. I'm gonna be frank with you all here for a second. I've been lowballing the hell out of Godzilla because, to put it simply, there is a lot of stuff he has. It just doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, there are some low multi to outer feats if you buy that bullshit with Godzilla in Hell. There are some immeasurable speed scaling with Mecha King Ghidorah being able to time travel with speed alone. But it doesn't matter because it exists. Godzilla Ultima, widely considered to be the most powerful iteration of Godzilla to date, is so unbelievably broken that it makes power scaling him feel like you're reading a thesis on quantum physics. Because you are. Let me break it down for you, Mark. The best way I can describe Goji Ultima is Dinosaur Darkside. For some reason, the mad bastards at Toho decided to give Godzilla quantum physics, and they gave him a higher dimensional true form simply known as it. I'm not making that up. Godzilla now has a true form that makes him a higher dimensional being. You see, it exists beyond the conventional concepts of space and time. It constantly dreams and perceives things like the sea, the heavens, the earth, and the entirety of time from beginning to end. All of it woven into a tapestry of memories and different iterations. Like I said, Dinosaur Darkside. It doesn't just surpass physical dimensions, but the laws governing existence itself. He can literally manipulate reality on a cosmic scale. Godzilla, the giant atomic dinosaur, is a reality warper now. And he's not even atomic anymore. Yeah, despite him starting out as a giant radioactive dinosaur, Ultima is instead composed of this red dust, also known as archetypes. More on this later, but for now, just know that Ultima is no longer radioactive, and his atomic breath is really just a fancy-schmancy molecular laser now. It also just is outright superior to the entire Godzilla singular point cosmology, which ranges anywhere between hyperversal to high outerversal, as the universe is a 4D Gödel Type 1, whatever the frick that is, and it exists in hyperspace and manipulates it, viewing the world the way we would view a character on television. Hyperspace being a structure with an infinite amount of mathematical dimensions. Goji Ultima is also fiercely more intelligent than your average Goji. Even when we ignore his nigh omniscience, Goji Ultima is easily a super genius, as he is capable of understanding human speech despite not possessing the concept of language, and is capable of comprehending his own matter, genetic and biological manipulation, to the point where it is just capable of remaking universes and solving higher dimensional calculations. This is what happens when you let a physicist write for your show, ladies and gentlemen. This is all really confusing stuff. Believe me. I'm trying to dumb it down as much as I can, and I haven't even talked about Goji's hacks yet. So let's do that, because quite frankly, Cosmology talk makes my head hurt. You see, Goji Ultima has complete control over these things called archetypes, which are basically superdimensional molecules that he transcends. These archetypes are as follows: matter, biology, space-time, causality, law, reality, concepts, dimensions, life, and physics. This gives him a multitude of abilities, which includes, but are not limited to, radiation manipulation, immortality type 9, regeneration, reactive evolution, adaptation, time travel, dimensional travel, precognition, retrocognition, reality warping, causality manipulation, acausality, time paradox immunity, space-time manipulation, higher dimensional manipulation, law manipulation, physics manipulation, body control, blood manipulation, instinctive reaction, energy manipulation, energy projection, absorption, time manipulation, damage reduction, stats amplification, space-time destruction, causality destruction, size enhancement, matter manipulation, higher dimensional existence, nigh omniscience, space survival, mind manipulation, mind absorption, life manipulation, plot manipulation, conceptual manipulation, durability negation, acausality negation, and even resistance negation. What? Oh, he also has additional resistances to higher dimensional manipulation, gravity manipulation, physics manipulation, and time travel. Now, I know I made it sound like Goji Ultima is practically unbeatable, and that's because he is. There are ways you can stop him, though. The first option is to solve a math equation. I'm not kidding. Better get your calculators out because we got a dinosaur to defeat. The second option is the most power scaly bullshit I have ever read in my entire life. To beat Godzilla Ultima, you need to, and this is a quote from some very kind people on the Death Battle Discord, you need to link him to the concept of his own defeat. What? And the worst part is, the first solution is only temporary. Solving the math equation only messes with its avatars, not it itself. Linking it to the concept of his own defeat is the only way to properly defeat it for good. And good luck trying to do that because Godzilla passively erases concepts and timelines that contradict his own victory. He literally erased his own defeat and destroyed the idea of that even happening. It's so potent that he has even disconnected narratives from stories, affecting his author's interpretation! I genuinely cannot think of a more busted character than Godzilla Ultima at this point. This is some Gurren Lagann level of absurdity right here. May God have mercy on whoever tries to fight Ultima, because he is just utterly broken, man!
Jesus have a loving Christ. Okay? Jesus Christ? Okay. Look guys, I'll try my best here, but this is Bill Cypherzilla we're up against. Super Strength, the core power of everyone's favorite Queen Giant, and what gives access to techniques like the famous Hulk Smash, Thunderclap, and what I like to call Protect and Serve Defense, in which he uses police cars as gauntlets for maximum damage, super stamina and healing. All can leap endless miles for 24 hours straight, plus fight and swim for days on end. Regeneration is no joke either. Regenerate his internal organs and tissues in an alternate reality, whip off and regrow a large section of his head, his evil future managing to self-rebuild his body after being atomized, integrate separate beings into his body, just all kinds of disgusting stuff. Granted, there's still the risk of shifting back into Bruce Banner. Anger empowerment. The angrier it gets, the stronger it gets. And the bigger it gets, the faster he heals, the better it does to the environment. So angry in fact that he can straight up see ghosts as a defense mechanism in case his father ever decided to come back from the dead again. Ask Charles Xavier and he will tell you that not even he can break through Hulk's mind. Ask Doctor Strange and he will tell you that not even his memory spell can make Hulk forget about Spider-Man. He got so angry that he developed all kinds of mental resistances. Gamma energy manipulation. Like a supremely pissed off sponge, he can absorb and redirect the same radiation energy that made him, even shooting freaking laser beams from his eyes. Dude is basically a walking nuclear earthquake as Worldbreaker, and don't tell me that him redirecting Godzilla's own atomic breath in the animation wouldn't be hype as fuck. Resurrection. If you remember Hulk vs. Broly, Hulk is now connected to a special green door between Earth and the below place. You know, the bottom layer of the multiverse that's somehow even deeper than hell itself. Who hasn't been there? No one? Oh, okay, I am the only one who's ever booked the wrong flight here, okay. Allowing him to come back from the dead even if he gets split to pieces. Obviously, destroying the door would also destroy the connection to the below place. And total disintegration will nullify the chances of comeback, at least for a while, but long enough to count as a loss per Dead Battle rules. By being the avatar of the one below all, he embodies the latter's rage, meaning that as long as Chernobyl Lucifer over here keeps on existing, so should Hulk himself. Compositing Hulk in the same way we do with Godzilla could potentially give him conceptual immortality, thanks to all Disney Infinity characters canonically being able to respawn for as long as the concept of imagination exists. But I will fully understand if you don't wanna take that route. Either way, Hulk should be a pretty freaking difficult fella to put down. Paradox breaking strength. There's one recorded instance of Hulk's strength being so vast that he had the power to, quote, destroy paradoxes and contradictions, which, depending on how that battle chooses to interpret this tidbit, or if included at all, might carry a lot of implications for how he's gonna interact with Ultima, since it means his attacks might be able to affect even Ultima's causality manipulation, especially if combined with his strength capable of shaking infinite dimensions, or making the white between comic book panels vibrate. Yeah, the white space is called the gutter space, and exists beyond the Marvel multiverse, viewing it as fiction. It's where characters like Deadpool and Gwenpool do their fourth wall shenanigans, and Hulk's attacks still managed to affect the latter in that place. He even withstood attacks from Hal Jordan, whose battle with Sinestro once shattered reality. And again, he once broke through the first firmament chains, something not even multi-eternity, a being that transcends all spatial dimensions and concepts, was able to accomplish. Now, could Bruce Banner solve Ultima's equation? From what I understood, Ultima could be defeated by a formula, but it's complicated. It was a very specific situation that involved technology not bound by linear time, billions of attempts to find a one outcome, a straight up miracle, and wait a minute. Look, I am not saying Bruce would be able to solve the formula per se in the back of his mind while Hulk deals with the punchy side of things. I am however saying that that outcome would be a top tier contender for the most unique win con and best display of intelligence in the show's history. Imagine Bruce pulling a Discord as he does manage to destabilize Formula Ultima's avatar out of the Marvel universe right before him and Hulk ultimately bite the dust. That would be a peak ending, not gonna lie. With that being said, a fellow supercomputer brainhaver, Jet Jaguar, wants to reverse the sea of endless information and reach the conclusion that beating Godzilla is a non-existent parameter. I'm gonna be honest with you, Cap, I honestly think Hulk got like 1.5 things going for him in this session, whereas Godzilla got like 50. So I will already agree that he takes powers and X with almost zero issue. This fight really reminds me of Spawn vs Ghost Rider, another matchup where it was either a matter of the Marvel champion just hitting harder or the non-Marvel fella just having too many tricks up his sleeve. This is our personal wish list for moments we'd love to see in this episode. Given the nonsensical strength both fighters are capable of, breaking through dimensions and whatnot, I wouldn't mind a small Goku vs Superman-esque moment where they break reality as a whole and they punch each other into different versions of themselves. Like, I don't know, 1954 Godzilla vs Grey Hulk, Battle of the Monochrome Classics, Monster vs Godzilla vs MC Hulk, Battle of the Cinematic Universe Icons, Godzilla in Hell vs Immortal/Devil Hulk, the most delightfully devilish incarnations, and please give us a shot of them punching each other while descending in hell as the most metal track ever placed in the background, please. And finally, of course, Godzilla Ultima versus the one below Hulk. Battle of the reality warping, miscovered, quote, true forms they were avatars of all along. On a much smaller scale, I also wouldn't mind something as small as Godzilla getting particularly angry when Hulk smashes through a Natsune Miku billboard because, I don't know, let's say the battle takes place in Japan, calling back to Miku and Goji friendship across various mediums. In a battle more or less defined by terrifyingly raw hype moments and aura, I wouldn't mind cute and silly stuff like that because, you know, they can be cute and silly, these guys. Also, please include Bruce Banner in the animation instead of starting with the Hulk. It would be so iconic to have Godzilla step on the scientist only for his foot to be lifted by the Green Goliath transforming. Thanks for joining me today, Cap. What are some scenes you would like to see?
Thank you very much for including me in this prediction. I loved absolutely losing my mind over Godzilla Ultima. Anyway, outside of a Goji W, because I'm biased like that, I would really like to see Godzilla attack a shield helicarrier and pull off some moves from Godzilla vs. Kong. Maybe that's how the fight starts and Bruce is there, so he turns into the Hulk and just punches Goji to a city. Another thing I would really want to see is Godzilla pull off the big roar he did in Godzilla 2014. It's just badass. So, that's why I want it. Outside of that, most of the stuff I really want was included by you, so yeah, just those two things would really make my day. Anyway, thank you very much for having me. I really enjoy. I know I joked about it, but I really did enjoy making this video with you. It was a lot of fun.
Drink lots of non-radioactive water will do the same. Hawk and Cap, hoping to have made your day slightly better.